Greetings, dreamers. Welcome to our podcast, Dreaming with Intention, with yours truly, Mariko Bennett. It is my honor and privilege to welcome Darelle Joiner to the set today. Darelle and I share fitness, the love of fitness. However, I'm kind of backsliding right now, so he not happy with me, but it's cool. Welcome, Darelle. Let's talk about it. Let's get into this. Darelle also helps me to, really think positively and shift my mindset. So I am super honored to have you with us. So welcome.
Good morning and thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we're going to just jump right into the questions and, I'm going to tee it up before I just hop right into the questions. So as I mentioned when I introduced you, Darelle has been an accountability partner on my fitness journey because that is always on my intentional growth plan. As you know, physical body means a lot to me, how I show up, how I feel. And there are often times when I show up at the gym with you early in the morning when I'm just absolutely not there and not ready. And you help me with these attitude adjustments and all the things. So I want to stop for a moment and say thank you for being such a great accountability partner. And thank you for helping me look my best. I'm not there right now, y'all, but we have been all the way there at some point. So thank you for that.
Thank you for trusting me.
Absolutely. All right, so we're gonna just jump into who is Darelle Joiner. So let's start with some of your early years, Darelle. And I read your bio, so folks have just a little bit. But really, tell us, what was your upbringing like? I know you had some extraordinary challenges, but can you share how those challenges and experiences really shaped your resilience and your approach to life today?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. Absolutely. The early years were definitely challenging as I look back, but as I share the story and I talk to people, you don't know that you're in a challenge when you're in it. Mm-hmm. You just kind of do what you have to do, right? And so for me, one of the ways that I look at it is I tell people that most folks go to school to learn and then they take a test. For me, I felt like life was just about testing, being tested all the time, and that's how I learned, just through trials and tribulations and situations. And so, early on in my life, just being labeled as a ward of the state, which means I was put into the foster care system and group homes and things like that. I can't really explain the feeling of what it felt like back then. It's just that you knew something was wrong, but at the same time, you knew you couldn't stop. And so I just dealt with whatever came. And so that definitely had a lot in helping me shape who I've become and how to just, handle situations and trials and tribulations and other obstacles as they come through. Because when I'm faced with something, I just look back and I look at that little boy and I just remember everything that he's gone through, whether it's from group home to group home, foster home to foster home, flunking in school, dropping out of college, all those things, street life, homelessness, all those things. And just to see that he never gave up. And so the attitude I have today is definitely, I'm never going to give up. Sure.
Never gonna give up. Never quit.
Never quit. Never stop.
No matter the obstacle, no matter the challenge, right?
You may need to pivot. You may need to redirect, but you don't stop. And so a setback is just a setup, as we know. I know it's so cliche to say that, but it really is. And so make the adjustment. As we all did with COVID. Just stop and move and take a look at things. And so speaking to what we're doing here, I didn't know that early on in my life I was dreaming. I was speaking things into existence. I didn't know that I was goal setting, but I just kept moving, and I never once let an obstacle or a person stop me from just trying to achieve it. And so, I credit that little boy for everything, for sure.
Yeah, I say you can rest, but don't quit, right? I tell people that a lot because, when you have visions and dreams for yourself, they can often turn into nightmares, right?
Oh,
when you don't actually begin to manifest them in your life. And so I say you can rest, but don't let that dream die.
Well, rest for sure is essential. I mean, that's one of my core four. I tell people the 4 things you need to do to be well and fit is you got to eat right, sleep tight, stress less, and move more. And so it's definitely rest is needed for sure.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Okay. So, adapting to change, right? So from being a ward of the state, as you just mentioned, at a very young age, and then joining the United States Marine. So your life has been it's been a life of transformation, right? I even know what you do now. But we'll talk about all of that. But you went there and then you've transformed into that. What was the turning point where you first realized that you had the power to change your circumstances?
I would honestly say it was actually after achieving a lot and then losing it all.
Achieving a lot and losing it all.
And losing it all.
Wow.
And so for me, going back to the Marine Corps, for sure, the Marines was definitely instrumental in helping, give me some intangibles and give me some, just better tools to be able to operate in it. And however, I didn't know that really where it came from. I just thought that I was that good. I thought that I was just, moving without any assistance or anything. And so making it, when I say to the top, in government, achieving grades and levels and things like that, I didn't understand God's grace, right? I didn't grow up in the church. I didn't know anything about the Bible. And so for me to achieve, acting 15 GS-15s and GS-14s and managing people with master degrees and PhDs and having no degree and barely graduating high school with a 1.3, I was popping my collars. Right, and I probably
was real cute.
I was probably a little condescending. I'm wearing the Brooks Brothers suits with the
you were like, I made
initials.
it. I made it.
I made it, and it wasn't until I lost it all. It's like that carpet was just stripped away from me, and I had to fall flat. And unbeknownst to me, because again I didn't have that upbringing in church, I surrendered, not knowing I was surrendering. I just said, God, I need help. Help me. And after I did that, I took a nap. I woke up and I just had a different hunger. And it was just about helping people. And he just guided me in a different direction. And so from that point, I just started meeting people and I started seeing that I had something that was instilled in me at a young age, which was fitness, because I was always the fastest, the strongest, and things like that. He showed me how now to use the gift that he gave me at an early age to help people. And that's when I started seeing the shift, the power shift in my mind, as opposed to it was never about me. When you have a gift, most people think it's the gift for you, but the gift is to be given away. And so when I understood that and I started doing that, I started having not even so much success, but more significance.
What was the biggest lesson that you learned, right? Because I talk about this all the time. In the industry that I have been, I would say I grew up in professionally, as you know, which is politics. And I've seen people rise to the top, right? And along your way, I tell people, like, be nice on your way to the top, right? Because, you can fall from grace so quickly.
Very fast.
And people remember how you behaved on your rise to the top. Absolutely. And so when you fall, it's really hard. But what was the biggest lesson that you learned from being at the top, falling, right? You said the carpet got pulled right from underneath you, right? So what was your biggest lesson?
I think the two things that I would say was the most important thing was understanding where the gift comes from, and just giving credit where credit is due, which is to God Almighty. I have no fear in saying that I'm a Christian, I believe in God, and I give God all the glory and the credit. And so making sure that you always do that, number one. Number two, thank the people along the way that's helped you get there, and make sure you can always give back and pull up and do whatever you can for those people, because it's about the team. It's never about you as the individual, because you're part of the team. You might be the one that's leading, you might be the one that's out front, but always thank the team. Some people just love to be behind cameras or whatever. Just go out your way to help people and thank people and let them know that you care.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I agree. It is definitely the team makes the dream work, right? Absolutely. And so as the team made this dream work today. I appreciate that. I thank you for sharing. I think that is just so critical. You said something else that I thought was just so on point, which was like, these gifts that God give us, they're not just for us and us alone. It's really to be shared. And I believe that with all the companies that I've created, I know that God has put me in this position to help others. I am so clear about it. Even sometimes when it hurts my feelings or it's difficult, I know that he says to me, like, I know that it's not even about you. It's about all the people that are going to be blessed because I have shared and I continue to share.
You know, and it's like when I talk about the gift, I talk about the 4 stages that we go through to get the gift. It's 3 before it actually, or 2 rather. And so it's when you have a calling on your life. You know, I feel like it's Uranus. The first stage is you're drifting. You know, and that's just like you keep thinking about it, you keep seeing it, you're wondering, whether it's on social media, whatever, you just keep looking. But you're afraid. Most people are afraid to take that walk, right? We all know that. We all have strong faith, but true faith is nothing until there's action with it, right? And so that drift state just kind of keeps you there. But when you finally make that decision to move, then you shift. You shift into it. I call that shift space probably the most important space because when you walk through that door, it closes behind you and the one before you can't open. So you're stuck in this corridor where this is the making. This is where God is saying, well, this is what you said you want. I want to see how bad you want it. What are you willing to do to keep it, to get it, and all those things? Are you still going to show up when people aren't buying your book? Are you still going to show up when people aren't buying your services? Are you still going to show up when it's hard? And I think if you do, because you're so committed to it, then that door is going to open. And when that door opens, I believe that you're going to get that gift, whatever that gift is. But here's the problem, and this is what happened to me. I got the gift, and I started popping my collars, right? Not understanding what the true gift, like I said, is to give it away. The gift, I believe, is connected to like a pipeline, and up above, it's right there. God is right there. He's just constantly pumping down what we call blessings, an abundance of overflow. But you got to understand, it's not for you. It's so much to be given away. Because the last part is you got to go out and lift people up. But if you don't, he'll turn it off. And you'll never see it coming. You'll fall flat. But if you're giving it away like you're supposed to, it's plenty for you. It's plenty. But the first priority is first to go out and give that gift away. For sure.
I love that. I told you I was going to focus today on mindset and physical body, but we got into spirituality. And that's cool because that's also one of our life focus areas where people must intentionally grow in order to create balance, right? And so what were you about to say? I saw you like, I got some more.
They're all interconnected.
They are.
Right? The mindset, the spirit, all those things.
Yeah.
You know, we, as an acronym I use, it's called, you know, and I'm saying this because it's a male, but women say perms, men, we say sperm. And so sperm means spiritual, physical, emotional, relational, mental, and monetarily. Those are the 6, you know, I think that are always connected together. And so you can't talk about mindset without spirituality. For me, anyway, I can't. It's just difficult.
Yeah, I cannot either. I love that. So now we're going to hop into some self-motivation, right? So, you know, we do vision boarding and goal setting and, dreaming all over the world. And I'll tell you, we actually had a blueprinting experience this week. And I can't tell you how many people had physical body and mindset on their intentional growth goal setting, right? Worksheet. So talk about the role of fitness, right? As we talk about self-motivation, you've talked about how fitness has played a critical role in your mental and physical development, right? But how has maintaining fitness contributed to your ability to staying motivated and overcoming challenges, but help others with that, right? Because sometimes some of us lack self-motivation in fitness. How has that been something? And I know because you done showed me your decades of fitness. You know, I got all the photos. I'm like, look at Darelle from the time he started all the way to now. How can someone stay committed and self-motivated? But talk about your journey with fitness and how you were able to do that.
Well, and to be totally transparent, I never had an issue with fitness for me personally because I started at a young age. It's important that I'm going to say what I'm saying here. I started at an early age committing to fitness. I loved it. I was the last to come in the house. I was always on the playground first, whatever it was. Push-up challenge, sprint, run, this, that, whatever. I say that to say this. I may have not had a problem with fitness, but where I did struggle at was academics because I didn't have that tutelage. I didn't have that support. I didn't have people reading books to me at a young age because we already talked about my upbringing, being a foster kid in group homes and being shuffled around. So that was missing for me. And so later in life, when I graduated high school and I tried to go to college, I didn't know how to go to college. I wasn't prepared for college, right? And so for me, I quit. And I tried college. I'm in college right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited. You just told me that.
I'm excited.
You
I'm
get a couple degrees
next year, finally, right? Getting 2 degrees. But the point is, for 30, plus years I've been out of high school, I could not go to college because I didn't know how. I missed the part about learning how to learn. Nobody showed me how to learn. I just kept trying to do it because everybody else was doing it. So I think the same thing goes for people that didn't take fitness early on serious. And so it's a learned behavior, and it has to be embedded and just, repeated over and over and over again. So it's not that people are lazy or people don't know all these things. It's just the fact that they don't have the habit built in. Because we both know that what leads us and controls us is our subconscious thoughts. And that's 80 to 90% of what we do, which is habit. And so if you don't have that habit built in, it's very difficult, which I want to get into this part, of how to take over your subconscious thoughts, which has no ability to tell you what to do. It just does what you've already shown it to do, which is habit. But to make a conscious decision, you can say stop right now, and it'll stop. Usually we don't stop until something bad shows up, whether it's cancer, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and then you stop and you see how strong the conscious mind is. So we have that ability. It's just that we have to learn how to transfer something we already have, discipline, into that area. You're successful, super successful, you graduated, you have 4 or 5 degrees, you've done all these things, you're a successful mom. That's discipline to do that every day. And so I tell people now it's time to be selfish about you and transfer that discipline and selfishness to you so you can take care of yourself and make it become a learned behavior where you don't even have to think about it. So now it's built into your subconscious thoughts.
Yeah, we do that with our progress trackers, right? To your point of habits, and then at some point you don't have to track your progress. Absolutely. Because it becomes a daily practice for you. But I love this shirt, Fitness Over Sickness, because that's what, and I had a friend who had a family member who recently, became ill. And, sometimes when you get sick, all of a sudden the habit is now built in for fitness, right? Like you've seen that. And so I love this, fitness over sickness. If you start with fitness, then, hopefully you can avoid sickness.
Basically.
Yeah.
Sickness is also, in most cases, sometimes it can't be, but in most cases it's a choice because it's the lifestyle that you've chosen, right? And things behind it's going to show up. And, one of the things that really motivated me, I didn't live with my mom growing up, but we had a great relationship near the end of her life. But to see her go through the last couple of years of her life, which was defining moments for me, is she smoked her entire life from like age 14. But when they told her she had stage 4 cancer, again, consciously, she stopped smoking that day. It was too late, obviously, but the fact of the matter is, just like I said, something bad had to show up for you to say, I'm done. It's over. It can be in relationships or anything, and that's usually when people wake up. But we have to have better control and just be stronger. And we have an incredible mind. We just don't use it.
So I love that. Now we're going to get into mindset shift, right? And so you talk about developing a limitless mindset. What steps can our listeners take to shift from a limited perspective to embracing a mindset of possibilities?
Yeah. So I think first you gotta sit back and be clear. I mean, this is something I'm preaching to the choir because you have shown me this 1,000 times, right? And I didn't listen 1,000 times. I'm there now. You have to be clear. I mean, and this is biblical, like Habakkuk 2:2. Write it down, make it plain, right? And so for me, like James 2:26, one of my favorite verses, it says, "The body without a spirit is dead. Faith without action is dead." Same thing. And so you got to be clear, not just writing it down, but then just jump out there and start doing it. Doing it without knowing how to do it, right? But be clear. The step one, be clear. This is what I want. So when I train folks, I say, don't just tell me you want to lose 10 pounds. You've done that before. Oh, I can help you lose 20 pounds. You need me, but that's not it. I want to know the one that you dream about, that you fantasize about, that you think about. And you did it. You came back and you showed me the picture. You said, look, I want to get back into this, what's it called, a leotard, whatever it's called.
My leotard,
right, you
yes.
showed me the picture. And you said,
the former dancer needs the leotard.
And that is the goal that I try to get people to push toward, because what's needed for that is the thing that holds you back from getting it, which is belief. You don't believe you can do it. So early on, we got to set the goal, and you got to believe with all your might and all your heart that you can acquire it. Right? So belief is sure ties into that. I call it the C-go.
Say that again.
The C-go. I call it the C-go.
The C-go.
The C. A-go is the one that you've done before and you can do it again yourself. The B-go, you might need me to help you, but the C-go is the fantasy go, the one that you just don't really tell many people about. Like, you really want abs, but you don't think you can get abs. You can get abs. It's just, are you willing to do what it takes to get abs? Are you committed to it? And will you be consistent at going about doing it?
Can I get abs?
You can get abs.
I'm trying to get my abs back. Okay,
Get abs.
I had abs last
You gotta
time.
give up some things.
I am about to give up a lot of
gotta give up
things.
some
I don't
things.
know. I'm working on the stuff I'm trying to give up. So let's talk about overcoming doubt, because self-doubt, negative self-talk, is something that, again, we talk about in our blueprinting experiences. So I believe in the power of affirming yourself. I believe in actually looking in the mirror and telling myself, I can do this. I'm going to accomplish this. I am ready for it. I believe in the power of that, but that is not everyone's, circumstance, right? And so talk about, self-doubt and overcoming those negative talks to oneself.
Yeah. And so it's not that easy. Let me just be honest.
Yeah.
However, it goes back to what I talked about. It's built into people, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's habitual. You've been doing this for years. When something tough comes about, you go back to what you've always done. I don't think I can do it. I don't know if I'm gonna do it, or I'm not good enough. This, that, whatever. I did it myself. I used to always go back and say I was a foster kid, group home. I couldn't read like everybody else. I didn't have the parents. This, that, whatever. Until I finally say, you know what? Turn the channel. Right? I have the ability to tell my brain to stop thinking about that and start thinking about the things that I have accomplished and pat myself on the back about what I did. I did graduate from the Marine Corps. I did graduate from law enforcement academies. I did do this. I did become a master mason. I am a shriner. All the stuff that you've done, start thinking about. And then when you look back to see what God has already done for you and brought you through, it'll change your mindset. And so you can't get stuck just thinking about the back, because that's what the body wants to do. The body will destroy you if you allow it, but you have the ability to do whatever you want if you stay in control of it.
I love that. And it sounds like you've rebuilt your confidence repeatedly, like over.
Oh yeah,
right?
You have to. You have to every day. You got to wake up every day and cover yourself. You got to. I mean, I got vices. I got issues. I love sugar. Like I'm a crackhead for sugar. I tell everybody every time I go to the gas station.
And he tells me I can't eat certain stuff at the gym.
Look. I don't smoke cigarettes, but I tell people my cigarette is a Snickers.
A Snickers.
Every time I go to the gas station, I got to get a cigarette.
Oh
right?
no!
And so then I said, why am I eating these Snickers? Because more people die from diabetes than they do from smoking cigarettes. Real talk.
Wow.
Right? And I'm up here thinking I'm exempt from that. And so I had to stop. I had to say, I got to stop eating these Snickers every other day.
That is my favorite candy bar. If I'm
Absolutely.
going to eat.
And I ain't trying to give Snickers a plug, but hey, if you want to come back.
That is my favorite. But that's not my addiction. I don't need that every time I go.
Yeah, so it's just, you got to change the channel.
Yeah.
You got to change the channel. When you feel it coming on, change the channel. I even talked to Tina, my wife, about this, because, she's very successful and we got some incredibly smart kids, but fear kicks in. Like, I don't know if you're going to get this, or go here, or all that. Well, don't worry about it. Just claim it. You know it's going to happen, right? This is what you teach me. You've been teaching me for years, how to manifest things. Just do it, right? It's just that simple. Whoever came up with that, Nike, just do it.
Yeah.
It's incredible, because that's what it's all about. Just do it.
Just do it. I love that. Okay. So let's talk. And one of the things I know that you love to do, you have acronyms for all the things. I'm
an acronologist.
Acronologist.
If it's a real word.
I think you just created it. It'll be on the internet. So let's give some practical tips, right? So I am all about, tangible results. I'm all about, how do you measure success? So what are some practical tips that you can actually give the listeners for self-motivation, whether that's mindset, spirituality, or physical body? What are some actual tangible tips that you can give that they can apply?
Great point. I think because all of them are equally important, I just say pick one, right? Pick one and get started.
Mm-hmm.
So,
love that.
And if that means that, tomorrow I want to work out, that's fine. But I think set your shoes out, your clothes out, and get up, even if it's just a walk. But when you get done with it, make a note of it and applaud yourself. Pat yourself on the back, because the goal is to just get 1% better. Mm-hmm. Just 1%. Everybody's shooting for 100% overnight. It's not going to happen. Success don't happen that way. And so I tell people, let's not try to go hard in the gym. Go hard to get to the gym. Mm-hmm. That's consistency, right? I mean, so we can all sit here and set the goal, which is part of the commitment phase. But will you show up and be consistent and do it over and over again? So a lot of people, I think they do things that's too challenging and they think that it's going to stick. It's not. So when I see people doing these gimmicky 6-week weight loss challenges, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
If you can't maintain that lifestyle, you're not going to sustain whatever came from it.
Yeah.
You're going to lose it faster than you got it. And so it's just about making it a lifestyle, making it a learned behavior, and doing it repeatedly. And so because there's so many different areas of life that we want to get better at, just pick one. And don't try to do all 5 or 6 in the same day. Do something different every day. If it's mindset today, if it's physical movement tomorrow, if it's spirituality the next day, until you get strong enough and better that you can start doing multiple things in the same day. And it will happen because you're setting the goal and you believe you can do it. But I think just pick one and get started. Just look to get 1% better.
I love that. You dropped a lot of nuggets. You said if you're trying to get physical body better, prepare yourself, put the shoes by the door.
Absolutely.
Start small, take a walk, right? And then applaud yourself. I talk about that all the time. You must celebrate success. It is a part of the journey. Yes. So I love that. You gave some those were some great nuggets. I hope our listeners heard you.
I learned from the best.
Well, and I love the pick one, right? Don't try to do everything at once. I tell this in our sessions, like with our blueprinting experiences, I'm like, okay, I know we have a lot of areas of intentional growth, but let's just pick one today. And let's set some action steps for that one today.
The problem is, I mean to cut you off, is...
No, it's fine.
We so quickly and easily get caught up on what we see other people achieve, but not knowing that they've been backstage. They've been doing this for years, for this moment. And so when they see, they think, oh, I can do that. Well, you really can't do this. And I never was offended when people were like, man, I want to get my body like yours, at my best or what have you. And so I would say, okay, that's cool. And they'd be like, you think I can do that in 6 weeks? I'm like, I've been doing this all my life.
6 weeks. They see your multiple decades of this.
I'm like, come on. And so I don't hurt them or anything. I just say, I think we can have some progress.
Well, that's why I have people set SMART goals. They need to be realistic.
Absolutely.
Right? And so, and time bound. But it has to be the right time because it needs to be realistic. So we are at time. I think this was a great conversation. I really enjoyed myself, and so I hope that our listeners enjoyed hearing this podcast. Darelle, I hope this will not be your last time on our podcast. But do you have some parting words of wisdom that you would like to leave? Any piece of advice or a mantra that's really guided you in life, and how can our listeners apply it to their journey?
Yeah, I got a couple, I would say. As you know, my son's in boot camp in the Army right now, and it's pretty tough for him right now. But unlike when I was in the military, we didn't get to talk to people. We get to make phone calls on Sundays. I'm like, where did they do that at? But it's a different military today, which is good because you really get to see where he is, and I can see and hear the fear in his, in his body. And so just, and at that moment I said, I need to give him something. And I just gave him that, Philippians 4:13, which is I can do all things through Christ, right? You got to believe that, number one. And number two, even as I tell my daughter who is navigating life at 21, she popping, she making money, she's doing all these things is, cause she's a giver and she usually has a lot of people that's coming at her. And I just say, it's all about value. And so if they're not giving it back to you, and so it's a simple math equation. I say if they don't add to your progress, subtract them from the process.
Say that one more time. Just make sure everybody heard that. Say it one more good time.
If they don't add to your progress, subtract them from the process. For sure. And as it relates to fitness going back, I just tell people the core 4 that you want to try to do. Pick one if you can't do all 4 every day, but you should get to the point where you can. You have to eat right, that's making good decisions. Sleep tight, go to bed. Stress less, keep the garbage out of your life, and move more, which is exercise. And here's the thing, the common denominator, that one that works for all of them, is movement, exercise. We were made to move. If you exercise and move, it's gonna make you hungry. You just gotta make good decisions when you eat. If you exercise, your butt is gonna be tired later. Go to bed. And if you exercise, you ain't thinking about nobody's mess. It's naturally managing stress. It's releasing different hormones and everything in your body. So it's the thing that we have to do. And unfortunately, we're in a society where everything is sedentary and convenient. You got to get up and move and walk and talk and all those things to keep moving.
Yeah.
That's why it's called the movement. Fitness over sickness. The movement.
I love that. Okay. So now we have to say goodbye to all of our friends.
Millions of viewers.
But before we do, all of our dreamers. We got to say goodbye to all of our dreamers. And before we do, how can our audience connect with you and learn more about your story or follow you, your work, and your initiatives?
Absolutely. So you can reach me on IG at Darelle Joiner. That's DarelleJoiner. And I have also just launched a new platform, which is Fitness Over Sickness, which is going to be on all social media platforms. And so drop me a DM if you need a coach in your life, if you need some fitness experience, fitness expertise in your life or what have you, and I'm available. I'm looking forward to helping as many people as I possibly can.
Yeah,
remember, it's a gift that I'm trying to give away.
I love it. You've helped me for sure. So, all right. Well, thank you, Darelle, for joining us. Thank you, dreamers, for listening. I hope that you got a lot out of today's podcast, and I look forward to us connecting really soon.